The Parshat Vayishlach describes the encounter that took place between Yaakov and Esav. Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav al Esav achiv arza seir stay edom. What is very fascinating, when one examines the life of Yaakov Avinu, one notices that his entire life is rife with the specter of confrontation that haunts him. It's the scene of Yaakov pitted against Esav, Yaakov and Lavan, Yaakov and the Malach Shel Esav that we'll see in Parshat Vayishlach, Yaakov in the city of Shem. Yaakov's life is highlighted by one-on-one clashes. He travels from crisis to crisis. And yet there's one common denominator to all these episodes that is very telling. In all these confrontations, he never meets his adversary face to face. His very birth already alludes to this non-confrontational dimension of his personality. The Torah says, "V'yado ochezes ba'akev Esav." His hand was clinging to the heels of Esav. Yaakov, as we know, grows up as a ishtam yoshev oholim, far removed from the wild and undomesticated habitat of his brother Esav. There's a chasm between them. And when they have an encounter, on that fated day of Ayavo Esav and Asadivu Oyef, when the Bechorah was sold to him, so then the Torah tells us about the synchrony of that event. Vayiach Yotzo Yaakov, the moment Yaakov left, Esav arrived. And of course the response of Esav to the Bechorah, Vayistom Esav es Yaakov, he hated Yaakov, but there's no confrontation. Because as the Navi describes, Vayibrach Yaakov stay Aram, Yaakov flees to Aram. Even after the incident of Lavan, where Yaakov works tirelessly for 7 years to win the hand of Rachel in marriage, the morning after, when he's duped, he reacts to Lavan. "What did you do to me?" And Lavan's response, "Lo yasechemim kameinu laseis hatzira b'fnei habechira." Yaakov is silent. Somehow, we're astounded. Yaakov does not raise a ewe and cry. And he continues to labor faithfully for Rachel's hand in marriage. Even when he realizes that he's won out his welcome at the house of Lavan, he convenes a secret conference with his wives in the field, pours out his heart to them, and still there's no attempt on the part of Yaakov to confront Lavan and his bag of tricks. And again, Yaakov escapes, and Lavan tracks him down and points the accusing finger at Yaakov. "Lama nach beisa lebroach, v'lo yigadata li, I would have sent you off with a 7-piece orchestra." And only after the accusation regarding the Trophim, the stolen idols, does Yaakov finally react with an impassioned statement. He tells Lavan, "I've been with you for 20 years. 14 years I worked for your 2 daughters. You changed my wages 10 times. We're amazed by this degree of superhuman forbearance that's exhibited by Yaakov Avinu. However, this seems to be very much the hallmark of his personality. Yaakov avoids confrontation, does not want confrontation. However, in this week's Parshat Vayishlach, there's a dramatic transformation in the modus operandi of Yaakov. Yaakov now is going to confront his adversary. He's going to confront Esav. Before he meets Esav, he meets the so-called Malach Shel Esav. And the Malach tells him, "Your name will no longer be called Yaakov, ki im Yisrael yeshemecha, ki sarisa im Elokim v'im anashim batuchal." You have fought with Hashem and with men, and you have prevailed. I once heard from my Rabbi, Rav Kenatapsky, Zecherim Livracha, that this very theme, the change of modus operandi on the part of Yaakov, from one of non-confrontation to confrontation, is hinted to, and perhaps even explicit in the text in this week's Parsha, by the use of one word in its variations, the word panim. The Torah says that when Yaakov instructs the messengers, so he tells them in Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Chaf, "Va'amartem gam hinei avdecha Yaakov achareinu, ki amar," Yaakov said, "Achapra fanov, I will appease him. Ba'mincha olechet lefanoi, with the present that goes before me. V'achrechein eref fanov, I'll see his face. Ula yisafani, perhaps he'll be accepting of me. Fatavra mincha al panav, the present passed before him. And a bit later, the Torah says, Vayikra Yaakov in Perek Lamed Beis Pasuk Lamid, Vayikra Yaakov she'hamakam Peniel ki ra'isi Elokim ponim el ponim vatinotzel nafshi. The imagery of Yaakov finally achieving a ponim el ponim encounter is exciting and refreshing. Vatinotzel nafshi, not simply my body, but my soul, hints to a kind of transformation in the personality of Yaakov. The Jew that evaded confrontation has now learned to grapple directly with his adversaries, and the subsequent meeting with Esav, of course, confirms this transformation. Yaakov tells Esav, Ki al kein ra'isi fanecha, ki ros pnei Elokim vatirteni. In other words, the word panim is the remez, the indication that there's a major change that has taken place over here. And therefore, this is a very striking change. And we'll explain as well why the change of Yaakov's name from Yaakov to Yisrael. Many Rishonim point out that it denotes a change from Ikva to Yashar Kel. No longer is Yaakov going to avoid confrontation. Now he'll confront his adversaries in a direct kind of way. To such an extent that we find that to Avraham and Yitzchak, Hashem appears directly. To Yaakov Avinu, there's always an indirect kind of revelation. But now, after this incident, immediately Hashem appears to Yaakov and tells him, Shimcha Yaakov, lo yikarei Shimcha od Yaakov elo Yisrael yeshemecha, vayikra Yisrael Yisrael. The Gemara says at the end of the first parak in Brachos, that with reference to Avram Avinu, whose name was changed from Avram to Abraham, kol hakori li Abraham, Avram over Basei. But however, that's not true regarding the name Yisrael. Yisrael and Yaakov, these two names are used interchangeably throughout Tanakh. At times, we are in effect bidden by Hashem to use all means at our behest, not to confront, to avoid skirmishing with Esav. At other times, we have to use the mode inherent in the name Yisrael, Yashar Kel. But that was the midah that Yaakov Avinu learned, the midah of panim neged panim, that he acquired dafka in this week's parsha of Vayishlach, and only in the end of days, be'achris hayamim, eschatologically, the Rabbi tells us, v'haya ha'akov the mishar, the mode of Yaakov, the mode of non-confrontation, will be totally supplanted by that of Yisrael. Yashar Kel, a direct kind of confrontation, which ba'olam hazeh, before the Moshe Mashiach, sometimes is operative and sometimes not. But la'asi lavo, that'll be the midah, that'll be operative, kol hazman, and that's the midah that we see that Yaakov Avinu acquired in this week's parsha, and is beautifully merumaz in the language of panim and the language of Peniel. Ki ra'isi Elokim panim el panim atinatzel nafshi. That's found in the parsha that more or less really is captivating because it describes a major metamorphosis and transformation on the part of Yaakov Avinu from someone who did not confront his nemesis and his foes and his adversaries to now someone who will be a panim el panim kind of encounter, a direct kind of confrontation.